Right now, you're sitting there wondering why your relationships keep falling apart. You're tired of the heartache, the disappointment, the constant struggle. But what if I told you there's one golden rule that can transform every single relationship in your life? And I mean every single one. Here's the truth. Relationships aren't complicated. They're simple. But most people, they're making them impossible. They're walking around with a blueprint for disaster, and they don't even know it. Relationships are like a delicate dance. One wrong step, and everything falls apart. But here's the crazy part. Most people are dancing blind, no rhythm, no understanding of the most critical rule that separates successful connections from total chaos. You want to know why your friendships fade? Why your romantic relationships crash and burn? Why even family connections feel like walking through a minefield? It all comes down to one fundamental principle that nobody, and I mean nobody, is teaching you. This isn't about tricks. This isn't about manipulation. This is about pure, raw, authentic connection. The kind of connection that makes people look at you and think, wow, this person gets me. The kind of connection that turns strangers into ride-or-die friends, transforms potential conflicts into deep understanding. Every relationship has a heartbeat, a rhythm that pulses beneath the surface, often unnoticed until something goes terribly wrong. Most people think connections are about grand gestures, expensive gifts, or perfectly crafted social media posts. But they're dead wrong. The real magic happens in the microscopic moments, those tiny, seemingly insignificant interactions that most humans completely overlook. It's not about how you show up when everything is perfect. It's about how you show up when everything is falling apart. Think about the most powerful relationships in your life. The ones that survived storms, weathered challenges, stood the test of time. What made them different? It wasn't luck. It wasn't circumstance. It was a fundamental understanding of human connection that most people never grasp. Relationships are living, breathing ecosystems. They require constant nurturing, delicate care, and intentional investment. Just like a garden needs water, sunlight, and attention, human connections need consistent, genuine energy to flourish and grow. The world is full of people who want connections, but aren't willing to do the work. They want the harvest without planting the seeds. They want the destination without understanding the journey. But true connection, true relationship, that's an art form, and it requires mastery. Every human heart craves genuine connection, but most people are playing a game they don't even understand. The truth is brutal. Connection isn't about what you get, it's about what you give. Your relationships are a direct reflection of the energy you're willing to invest, the vulnerability you're brave enough to show. Imagine your relationship as a bank account. Every interaction is a transaction. Some people are constantly making withdrawals, taking emotional support, demanding attention, expecting understanding, but they never make deposits. They never invest genuine care, authentic listening, unconditional support. The world is filled with takers, people who view relationships as transactional opportunities. They're looking for what they can gain, not what they can contribute. But the most powerful connections? They're built by givers. Those rare individuals who understand that true connection is about pouring into others without expectation of immediate return. Your relationships are a mirror. They reflect back exactly what you're putting out into the world. If you're experiencing surface-level connections, shallow friendships, relationships that feel exhausting, that's not a coincidence. That's a result of your own relational strategy, and strategies can be changed. Most people are walking around with emotional walls so high they've forgotten what genuine connection feels like. They've been hurt, disappointed, betrayed. So they've built fortresses around their hearts, believing protection means isolation. But true strength, true power, it comes from the courage to remain open, vulnerable, authentic. The golden rule of relationships isn't about perfection. It's about understanding the subtle art of genuine human connection. Most people are chasing a fantasy, thinking relationships should be smooth, conflict-free, always harmonious. But real connections aren't about eliminating friction. They're about navigating that friction with wisdom, empathy, and intentional understanding. Communication is the oxygen of relationships. But here's the brutal truth. Most people don't communicate. They wait to speak. They prepare their next argument while the other person is talking. They're so focused on being heard, that they've forgotten the most powerful skill in any relationship: deep, authentic listening. Listening isn't passive. It's an active, powerful form of love. When you truly listen, and I mean really listen, you're saying something profound without speaking a word. You're telling the other person, you matter, your experience is valid, your emotions are important. That's the language of deep connection. Pain often becomes the greatest teacher in relationships. The moments that break you, that challenge you, that push you to your absolute limits, those are the moments that reveal your true relational capacity. Most people run from discomfort, but the strongest relationships are built by those willing to sit in the uncomfortable silence, to lean into the difficult conversations. Your emotional intelligence is the most powerful relationship tool you'll ever possess. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. Aware of your triggers, your patterns, your defense mechanisms. Aware of how your past experiences shape your current interactions. The moment you start understanding yourself is the moment you start creating more meaningful, authentic connections. Relationships are a battlefield, and most people are walking in unarmed. They're bringing emotional toothpicks to a war that requires heavy artillery of understanding, empathy, and intentional communication. The greatest weapon you'll ever have isn't charm, isn't looks, isn't money. It's your ability to truly see and understand another human being. Your emotional baggage is like invisible luggage that weighs down every single interaction. Most people are dragging suitcases full of past hurts, unresolved traumas, childhood wounds into every new connection. They wonder why relationships feel heavy, why they keep attracting the same toxic patterns. The answer is simple. You're carrying yesterday's pain into today's potential. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not about keeping people out. Boundaries are love letters you write to yourself. They're declarations of self-respect, clear maps that tell others how you expect to be treated. Weak boundaries create chaotic relationships. Strong boundaries create powerful, respectful connections that breathe and grow. The most dangerous relationship lie is believing that love is about sacrifice. Love isn't about losing yourself. Love isn't about becoming smaller so someone else can feel bigger. Real love is two whole, healthy individuals choosing to walk together, supporting each other's growth, challenging each other's limitations, expanding each other's worlds. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the most profound form of courage humans can demonstrate. When you show up authentically, when you're brave enough to expose your scars, your fears, your raw humanity, that's when true connection happens. Most people are walking around wearing masks, presenting perfect versions of themselves, but connection happens in the cracks, in the imperfections, in the messy, beautiful human reality. Every relationship has a hidden ecosystem of energy, invisible currents that determine whether connections thrive or die. Most people are completely blind to these energetic exchanges, moving through life like emotional tourists, never understanding the fundamental language of deep connection. Trust isn't something you demand. Trust is something you earn, millimeter by millimeter through consistent, authentic behavior. Every promise kept, every vulnerable moment shared, every time you show up exactly as you said you would, these are the building blocks of genuine trust. But most people want trust like they want fast food, instant, convenient with zero investment. The most powerful relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, not the superficial respect of social niceties, but a deep, fundamental acknowledgement of each other's humanity. Respect means seeing the other person's pain, their struggles, their unique journey, without judgment, without trying to fix, without making their experience about you. Conflict isn't the enemy of relationships. Avoidance is. Most people run from disagreement like it's a fire, creating elaborate escape routes of silence, passive aggression, and emotional shutdown. But healthy conflict, approached with curiosity, vulnerability, and genuine desire to understand, is actually the fertilizer of deep connection. Your relationship with yourself determines every other relationship in your life. If your internal dialogue is a war zone of criticism, if you're constantly beating yourself up, if you're unable to extend compassion to your own humanity, you'll recreate those same destructive patterns in every connection. Self-love isn't selfish. It's the fundamental prerequisite for authentic love. Emotional intelligence is the secret language of extraordinary relationships. Most people are fluent in words, but completely illiterate in the deeper communication that truly connects human hearts. They speak, but they never truly communicate. Forgiveness isn't about erasing history. It's about releasing the emotional anchor that keeps you trapped in past pain. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You're the only one suffering, carrying a weight that grows heavier with each passing moment of unresolved anger. The most powerful relationships are built on radical accountability. Not the kind of accountability that blames, that points fingers, that creates defensive walls, but the kind of accountability that says, I'm responsible for my part in this dynamic, my reactions, my healing. When both people take ownership, magic happens. Your energy speaks louder than your words. People feel your intentions before you even open your mouth. The vibration you carry, the emotional frequency you emit. That's the real language of connection. Most people are so busy performing, they forget that authenticity is the most magnetic force in human interaction. Intimacy isn't about proximity. It's about seeing and being seen. It's about creating a space so safe, so judgment-free, that both people can show up completely naked, emotionally, spiritually, vulnerably. Most people are terrified of this level of exposure. They'd rather maintain perfect facades than risk true, raw connection. The greatest illusion in relationships is believing you can change another person. Control is a myth, a fantasy that destroys connections faster than anything else. You can't modify, manipulate, or engineer someone else's behavior. The only person you have true power to transform is yourself. Emotional maturity isn't about never feeling pain. It's about understanding your pain, processing it, and refusing to let it dictate your future connections. Most people are walking wounded, carrying unhealed traumas that contaminate every new relationship they enter. Healing is an active choice, not a passive waiting game. Compatibility isn't about finding someone exactly like you. It's about finding someone who complements your edges, challenges your perspectives, and creates a space of mutual growth. The most powerful relationships aren't between perfect matches, but between individuals committed to evolving together. Your past relationships are not crystal balls predicting your future. They are lessons, not life sentences. Every connection teaches you something about yourself, about human dynamics, about what you truly want. But lessons only become wisdom when you're brave enough to integrate them, not repeat them. Communication is an art form, a delicate dance of expressing your truth while creating space for another's experience. It's not about being right. It's not about winning arguments. It's about creating understanding, building bridges of empathy, allowing vulnerability to flow between two human hearts. This isn't just another motivational speech. This is a wake-up call to transform your entire relational landscape. Right now, you have a choice. You can walk away and continue the same patterns, or you can take the first step towards creating connections that will change your entire life. If you're serious about mastering the golden rule of relationships, if you're ready to break free from the cycles of pain and disappointment, there's only one thing left to do. Hit that subscribe button. Every single week, we're dropping knowledge that will revolutionize how you connect, love, and show up in this world. Don't just watch. Don't just listen. Take action. Your future relationships are counting on you.